Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Divine Healing Channel. As you can see, I brought out Mother Mary, Baby Jesus, and Joseph. Now, in previous readings, I had gotten information from Spirit, and they keep going on about the DNA, and that's what they want me to talk about today. So I'm just going to get right into that. But you know what is kind of cool? When I pulled out this deck, which I thought was it, this is the deck, I was kind of surprised that they were asking me to bring this out. And when I pulled it out of the box, it was upside down, and that was the first card. Well, and then like when I bought this out, and then you know what? It gets a little bit freakier. When I opened up the book, like I was just trying to like bend the binding on the book because I have never really like used this deck. And it opened up on family, and I'm just like, what is going on? It's like, okay, I need to videotape this because this is going to be like super cool. Anyway, so then they want me to read this to you, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. So yes, okay, so they want me to center. I'm starting to get like really excited. I think that's the ancestors finally, whoever is stepping forward, they're like, finally, it's my turn. Okay, so they've been talking a lot about the water and how you can bless it, but they also mentioned about using crystals. You can use crystals around your home. You can actually, some crystals, I don't know which ones exactly, you can put in your water when you drink it. However, always use caution. Make sure the stone is big enough that it's not going to get sucked up your straw. You're not giving it to small kids or whatever. And then make sure that it's the ones that you can put in water. I don't know which ones those are, but they did talk about that. So I know there's some that you can't because I think they're like poisonous or something. So you got to be really careful with whatever you're doing, and always research everything like I've been saying all along. So I'm going to center. Excuse me. Something doesn't want this message to come out because my voice was fine all week. But this is an important message. They were talking about, that's why I was like, Spirit, why do you want me to bring out the spell casting? Like, that seems weird. I mean, you know, we're talking Mother Mary and, you know, like Jesus here, like what's going on? And they're like, no, this is related. You'll see. And I'm like, oh, okay. But they're going back and they're telling me about the milk and the honey. It's about the Bible. And they're saying to me that when I don't know where it is in the Bible. I don't know. I was just, anyway, I did some research on it just to see if I could like understand it myself. And from what I can understand, which I have heard about this before, but I really, because it's really hard to discern when everything around you has been a lie. And, you know, like that has been my life. I'm sure it has been many others are starting to awaken, and they're looking around and they're seeing, you know, the false light in people. They're seeing, you know, like the corruption, you know, everybody sees it. Okay. So we all know what's going on. Well, you're awakening to what's going on, and that's what's important. And that's why you're here, because you're here to get to have some kind of path that you can take for yourself, like some kind of guidance. As is, like I mentioned before in previous videos, I did not have that guidance. I did have all these abilities. I just didn't know how to develop them in the proper way and had to help people. So this is my journey, is to help people. And this is how Spirit has decided best for me to be able to do that. So that's what I am doing. So first off, I'm going to center, as they keep asking me to do. I call upon universe consciousness of the highest realms for the highest good of humanity to work through me. Allow me the privilege to channel for only the purest light of source. Allow me to channel in a way that also serves my highest good, and I ask the universe protection from negative energies. I call upon Mother Earth Gaia to ground me and connect to source through me. And this has been the whole thing all along. Oh no! This has been the whole thing all along. It's been all about connecting Gaia to source. So through you though, through your chakras, that's how you're grounded. And see, they keep talking about how grounding is so important, because when you're well grounded into Mother Gaia, then you, like they say, you're like that mighty oak that you can't be just washed away. Like, you can, like they talked about the seaweed, you got to be flexible. But if you're rooted deep into Gaia, and I know there's a higher source, like the Most High. Like I've always known that. Like I've always been connected to that. I've never not believed it wasn't there. And did I get angry at times? I surely did. I surely did. When I was really in pain and I was really hurting really bad, and bad things happened in my life, I got very angry with God. I got very angry with Spirit. I was very angry many times with them. Even to one point, I was just like, just leave me alone and don't come back. I don't want you around me anymore. And then I had this sadness that come over me, and I realized that sadness was because I asked Spirit to go, and I had never been in my life without them before. So I sat down and I really looked within myself, like, why would I do that to Spirit? Because Spirit has never harmed me. And then that's when I was led, still, even though like there's free will, and Spirit did not try to influence me at that point. Like they didn't try to like speak with me or anything, and I could feel that separation. They never left me, but I could feel that disconnect from them. And I had to invite them back. I had to apologize to them and invite them back because like I was really hurt, and like we all are, but we can't blame God, because it's a thing that we've decided to do to come here. So we can't blame anyone but ourselves. And I'm sure like you're thinking, I would never do this to myself, but really, yeah, you have. And the other thing is like, there's many days, honestly, even today, I'm just like, what were you thinking to do this to yourself? What were you thinking? Why would you create so much hardship in your life? Like why? But now, and then, a moments later, I'm like, but you know what? I would never trade it. Even though it's been a painful road and a hard road for me, I wouldn't trade it, because I have that connection to God. I have that connection to Mother Mary, because I know she's here. I know Jesus has been here. I know that they have brought messages, and I know that they still now surround me. I can feel that love, and it brings tears to my eyes, but it's like tears of joy. It's really hard to explain, but they're taking a step back because they know it's making me emotional, because our human forms aren't used to feeling this kind of love from the universe. So it is powerful. So that's very beautiful there. Okay, so they wanted me to bring out this spellcasting deck, and I just thought that it was just so weird that they would want me to bring this particular deck out, just because of, because Jesus and Joseph and Mary are here. Like I was really drawn to bring them out. So, and they had asked me to do that before, and I was like, I have to do it. I will do it. And, I just cannot do everything at once for them, kind of thing. So I did pull it out today, and they're like, okay, so now we're ready. Because they didn't want to do this reading. They didn't want to talk about the family. They didn't want to talk about the healing crystals. They didn't want to talk about that. They didn't want to talk about the generational curses until I brought Mother. And I don't know if maybe because I just get the impression it's because they want people that read the Bible and go to church and have been raised to think that that divination is a form of witchcraft, because like in a negative way. Like they think about it in a negative way. They don't think about it as it's a form of way to connect with loved ones and Jesus and directly with God, because that has been something that has been for many, they're saying eons, because there's certain lineages that are connected with angels, directly with source. Okay, I keep hearing many gods, goddesses, many beings. So even from the stars, they're talking about even like in the stars. So people are on this earth now, and they're from all over the universe, basically. Cool. Okay. I need a sip of water. All right, so they want me to start with reading this, because this basically is to bless the cards and anyone that gets this reading. So I'm just going to read that. As I open this box, magic abounds, for my spirit connects with the answer it's found. Feeling my heart open up to one love, beauty surrounds me below and above. See, below and above, they're talking about Gaia and source, like that connection, right? Vibrations now raised, inviting in light, protection in place, as I see with new sight. As I work with these cards, connect us as one. In place, peace and love, we are blessed. It is done. So that's a really nice message, actually. So yeah, they want me to read some things here. And it's real, because it opened on family, they wanted me to read this, but okay, yeah, I see. Well, what if we read that after I talk about this? Okay, they said that works too. Okay, so let's do this. So they were talking about, and see, this is probably what they keep bringing up elephant too, because elephant's part of my totem. But elephants are, they're family oriented. So I'm going to they're asking me to turn that over, because they said it was the only one that the only deck that I had. Oh, okay, there. Okay, they're asking me to set that there. Oh my God, and look, the next card is answers. And then manifestation under that. Finding and healing. Spirit. Okay. We're going to shuffle them all up and find out what's going on here. Okay, so they're talking about the milk and honey. So they're talking about, like they said in the Bible, it talks about milk and honey. And what that means is in your pineal gland, I think it's called. It's what's in between the two brain hemispheres, between the right and the left. And in that, it creates like this milky substance. And this is where it comes in with the breathing too. So, okay, so let's just go with the breathing since we're on that. So that pineal gland, I think that has like these little, like nerves or something that come off of it. And what happens when you do that, okay, so when you're angry, right? If you if you take in one big deep breath through your nostrils and you hold it for like a minute or so, and then you release it, or 30 seconds, whatever it is, and then you do that again, and then you release it. And sometimes you have to, like, you know, it's kind of like when you were told, like, oh, count to 10. But if you do 3 big breaths like that, each breath, what that does is it stimulates those little hairs that are on that pineal gland. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure for sure. But again, do your own research. And, you know, anyway, what happens is that it's like it resets your brain. Okay, so like if you're really angry and you take those big, long, deep breaths, it really does. It recenters you back, right? You know what I mean? Into the now. So you're not like, it helps you to emotionally regulate yourself. And then, okay, so that's if you're angry. So then there's, I mean, obviously you can do other things too, like walking or exercise or like a bath or whatever, but that breathing is instant, and it's like instant. But it not only does that, what it does is when you do that deep breathing like that and it gets that activated, it not only activates that, but it activates the spinal fluid, so that the spinal fluid that goes up and down your spine, it activates that. So then it creates, they call that like the honey is the spinal fluid basically. And that like will travel down to your spine and then travel back up to that pineal gland. And then that's connection. You know what I'm saying? So that is what they're talking about. They said that's what they mean by that in the Bible. I don't really know. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's completely, but I mean, I'm trusting spirit because they've been showing me all kinds of miracles. And I mean, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just going to get along because, wow, I've been like shown things like you have no idea. Like right down to, I'll tell you, one day, it was kind of like a rainy day. And I was going out for a walk and I'm like, oh, I don't want to wear my sneakers because they'll get all wet and yucky. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just wear these Crocs. But then, you know, it's so like, I don't know, hillbilly-ish, I guess. And I was just like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. Anyway, I said, screw it. I'm going to wear the Crocs anyway. And they were like this mauve color. And I'm walking down the road, and on my way back, don't I see a lady walking her dogs, and she's got the exact same color pair of mauve shoes on. And I swear it's so funny. It was so funny. I just burst out laughing. You don't even know. Anyway, so what they were talking about early on was it's called energy DNA. And then they're talking about generational curses. So what I did about 5 years ago is I started working. This is around the time that I was angry with spirit and I made them leave, and then I begged them to come back. And they did. They said I didn't have to beg. But I did apologize, and I did invite them back into my energy. And they kind of advised me to, she's like a prophet, and she works closely with spirit and God. And she helped me find ways to heal, how to look at the world differently. And I actually sat down and really did the work on breaking generational family curses is what I did. I spent about 7 or 8 months doing that, I believe. And so I do remember a few months after I had finished that, I had gotten this message like through a dream saying that that my ancestors were very happy because many have come and tried to do what I have finally done for them, because it released them as well. And then I also basically, like when I was doing that, I basically said to them, like, you know, you guys, you know, you were part of this mess too, so you need to get your butts here and you need to help clear this. You take the responsibility as well and help me clear this. You know, it's not all just on me, right? So I do believe I started working with my ancestors then. I just didn't realize that I was, but I don't know whatever made me deal with the generational curses. But that's why when I was doing a reading and it was going out, my father kept coming, saying the word, making me say father, because I was talking about the mother and the daughter early on in the Kundalini journey. Well, this is just a continuation of that, but they just wanted me to link it all together, and I didn't really understand why at first, but now I do understand, because they said that it's all related. And they said, like, even friendships, they said, look, even though I slid it over, little friendships, excuse me, look, and there's like animals, and like, look, I just can't even make it up. Transformation. See, it brought a transformation, and it brought the answers that I needed. It helped me to be, oh, look, empowerment. It did. It helped me to be empowered and to really find out what was really, to get to the root of it, I guess, because like just so many terrible things, and the older I got, the worse things got, and I just didn't know what was going on, and I just wanted it to be better, you know. I just wanted my life better, and something had to change, and the only thing I figured was me. If either I didn't change or I didn't change my environment, I had to do something. I was just at my wit's end, basically. And that's where I started with the generational curses. I started wearing God's protection. I turned to God more. I was, reading passages of the Bible. Yeah, I was really trying to connect with Gaia. I was outside a lot with nature as much as I could. Yeah, I had a lot of dark days too, don't get me wrong. But so when they're talking about these generational curses, they're saying how that is where it goes back to that karma, and how you can be dragging things back from previous lifetimes into this current lifetime. And maybe your husband was really your child, and maybe you and your child didn't get along, or maybe, like a neighbor is actually part of that, and maybe that neighbor like tortures you or something because they just can. But you could have had, like, maybe you killed that neighbor maybe you killed that person. Maybe that person was your boyfriend or something, or your husband, or your mother, and you killed them in a previous life. Well, then they came back into this life, and then they were your neighbor, and then they just made your life miserable because they were just always complaining that a leaf from your tree fell in their lawn, and your dog barks, and your kids play, and they just whatever, right? Just living is enough for that person to torture your life. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it goes. So that's why they're talking about these generational curses that can come upon you. And and of course you don't know. You have no idea. How would you know? You're just born. You're just this little baby onto the earth. Your memory is wiped. You have all these, like, beautiful teachers and, loved ones around you to support you, but you have no idea about them because it's all been hidden. Now, they had me actually talk about or like about the seeds, and how, like, during the I don't want to talk about that. Okay, so they are talking about how, like, about the faith, that how some people, how, like, they have faith, and they have so much faith. See how, like, it's like all kinds of faith here, all kinds of faith, and then it just, it kind of gets here. Now, they're saying, like, you might have started with all this faith up here, and then as it got down to here, it dwindled. You know what I mean? But you could still be up here. There's people that have that faith, and they're way up here, and they have, like, all kinds of faith. But then there's the people that used to have faith that have lost faith. Their faith over the years dwindled because, of the hardship and all that. But that's where we go back to, you can't blame God for that, because this is a map that you have chosen. And if you're in pain and you're suffering, it's because you're not on your true path. Yeah. That makes complete sense. So they wanted to talk about that. So they wanted to talk about our Archangel Faith, because Archangel Faith, she's a really good one to work with. And because she's more on the quiet side. I heard she's a little quieter, but the word faith kept coming out in all the readings, and I didn't know what that was referring to. And then I was told in a meditation probably about 2 days after I did that reading, that Faith is the archangel. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know what that meant. They could have just easily told me that, but they thought that I would get it, but I didn't. You know, there was so much energy going on then. And then like that snake just blew my mind because, how like I realized I was the snake, and how, you know, it was just mind blowing anyway. It was always like after the fact, and how they talked about, okay, yeah. So they're talking about the water. So they're talking about how like that Inside Out movie, and they have like those little balls, like, oh, balls like that. Yeah. Oh, that is so, oh, that's probably why they talk about that. And they said that, you know, it looks like water inside. And I'm like, and I said, oh yeah, it always looks like water flowing around. They said, well, that's actually what we're talking about, because the water droplets they hold the energy. And in that, and then in our DNA does the same. So our DNA actually can hold generational curses in our DNA. It's imprinted in our DNA. And I thought, oh, that is freaky. So that's why they were talking about like to heal things and purge it, and then you know, bless your food and bless your water. You can, you know, like I said earlier, you can put certain crystals in your water, but again, I don't know a lot about that, and there's certain ones that you're not supposed to. So if you're going to do that, be very careful and make sure that you really research it well. But you can put like stones like under your pillow. You can carry them around in your pocket if you're going around in like big public places and you're a type of person that absorbs other people's energies. You can use stones. I keep calling them stones. You can use crystals for that. Crystals are really good to have around your home too. Like, you can actually get crystals. It like this is what's in that ring again? Oh, my mind just went blank on that. That's weird. Because I have a necklace that has the same thing as Flower of Life, and inside of it, it has the stone. It's glass, actually. Oh, it might come to me. Anyway, so you can wear them. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I talked about that and that. You know, I've been seeing an awful lot of certain numbers too. Oh yeah, they wanted me to mention there was a family member. Her name I've had a lot of Carols in my life actually, because there was like I had a sister-in-law named Carol that recently passed. And then, I mean, she was part of my early childhood. And then I met like my dear friend Carol, that was like a mother to me. And then Carol the healer, and then the Christmas carols that they were talking about. So there was 3 carols that influenced my life in meaningful ways, in a very good meaningful ways. What else? Yeah, I've been seeing 144 all the time. And so is there anything else about the DNA that you want to talk about? That's just that the curses can be transferred in the DNA. They actually call it energy DNA, I think is what they're calling it. So that if, you know, so yeah, they wanted me to mention how when I was talking about like the chakras, and how they were saying how, isn't it funny how you just wrote like Gaia over here because that's the root, and then you put like God up here, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, you see how, like, you know, that's why it's meant to be, you know, as below, as above, as below, or however that saying always goes. And about, oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. If you raise your vibrations and you keep your vibration high for a steady period of time, and I'm not talking just a couple hours, I'm talking like weeks, maybe even a month or more, 2 maybe, it will actually, those vibrations will then crystallize into your DNA. And then, yeah, that's cool. All right. Again, I'm not sure. They just tell me this stuff and I'm just like, what? Yeah, the breathing helps get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, they were saying, like, you know how Jesus always like holds his hands like that, and a lot of, like, you'd see him walking, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, because of the because you even have chakras on your hands. And you have chakras like on your arms, your legs, your feet. Like, you have more than just the main chakras is what they're talking about. Yeah, so that's where they're talking about that breathing, and how that breathing helps you to connect. Okay, so, and that, yeah, it's about the cell structure. Okay, so, yeah, they keep going on. Like, I keep getting the thing, like, if you take responsibility, if your ancestors want to take responsibility for their part in it too. So if you want to take responsibility, you can do like a generational curse breaking. And they said that, like, every time you do that, you can call back those because from what I've understood is that through your life, like, you leave yourself imprinted on people, but that's actually soul fragments that you're leaving like behind in the past, or you know what I mean? So it's like pieces of the puzzle, and there's pieces missing. So what they're saying is that when you heal certain things from your past, what you could then do is you say, like, you're no longer triggered about those things or whatever, you call back all those fragment pieces. Just like when you call back your power, like early on, there was that one there that about calling back your power. Well, now they're talking about calling back all your soul fragments. Like, you call them back. And you take the, find those, you know what I mean? And you kind of like put all those pieces back into you, because that, you know what I mean? Is cell structure. Yeah, because you know, it's even, yeah, it even, they said that it even gets into like your organs and your blood cells. It's just it's right down into your DNA that you get, and that like affects us on like a cellular level, and everything needs to be cleared and protected, like everything. And this is for like all this is for divine masculines and divine feminines. They're talking about like to take all that darkness, any darkness that you, even the dark, even when you're working on yourself and you see things in yourself, like, say for instance, they told me to use children, because, you know, you say you have children, right? And one child does something and you're like, oh, that is so me. And maybe that's something that's in you that you don't like, that it's, you know, that's what they're saying, like your shadow self. It's okay to look at it and say, yeah, I don't like that aspect of myself. And then, but you can say, but that's part of who I am. And that's what makes me imperfectly perfect. And then you can say, okay, so I just want to clear that. I want to, you know, I just want to, you know, I want to accept that part of myself, and then just embrace who you are, and then do a clearing and a protection for yourself. And that's really where you're transmuting that darkness into light that they were talking about. That's what you do within yourself, like within oneself. You're actually looking at those dark things about you, like things that you did maybe when you were a kid or whatever, and you didn't think it was a very nice thing you did. You can look at those things individually and look at that dark side of yourself and accept that, and have understanding for that, you know, that kid. Because, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. You can't know something that you don't know, right? So now you know better, you do better. Kind of that, just keep with that kind of mentality. So when you look at the darkness within yourself, what you're doing is you're addressing that, and then now you're transmuting that darkness that you had in yourself, and you're transmuting that into light. And then that will put you more into a loving being instead of a guilty or vengeful one. You know what I mean? Yeah, and they're saying that once you do all the transmuting of all that darkness from within yourself, that's they call that the learning of all the soul's lessons in one body. So that would have been like Jesus. He would have at first he was not happy with Mary, and he didn't trust her, and he thought he was being betrayed. But then, he realized this is a divine thing, and this is the path that he's supposed to take, and he's supposed to protect Mary and Jesus. And he does. He submits and surrenders to God, just as Mary did. Mary accepted the gift of Jesus. And with that, Joseph learned all those lessons. He was open to learning those lessons. Yeah, I was learning a lot about density locks. And they were talking about like the 12th dimension, and how like our DNA, how they talk about our DNA and that we have 12 strands, but like how many of them it's junk DNA? Like, come on, junk DNA. Has there been any creature put on this planet that their DNA was junk for them? Like, no, come on. Everything is for a purpose. Everything is for a reason. And they were talking about the Anunnaki a lot, and I didn't really know where that fell into any of my readings, but they were saying how like the humans have 12 DNA structure. Yeah. And they said, but the Anunnaki only has 11. And I don't know a lot about the Anunnaki, and I don't know a lot about what they're talking about. So that's something that's another little rabbit hole I think they're going to have me go on. Because they're saying that all human incarnates have a 12-strand DNA. And they're saying that a density lock is basically like a dark portal. And they were talking a lot about the water goddess, and that was like the water goddess. And then that card came up too about that dragon, that water dragon. And she was a goddess, and I don't remember her name now. It was from yesterday's reading from 10 and 11, chapter 10 and 11. And they were talking about a water goddess, but I wrote that down quite a few days ago, because I was seeing these that's when it says family needs you. When that card came up yesterday, they asked me to write down ancestors' generational curses, because that's why that card came out. They wanted me to talk about it, but they wanted Mother Mary and Joseph and Jesus out here for that. So I keep seeing the number 44, which is you are loved. So the universe is sending you love. But finding 1010 everywhere. And then yesterday was a weird thing. It was all like 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4. And these numbers were repeating all through the day. And I couldn't understand. Even when we went to a children's concert last night, and they sang the most beautiful song in the end, or almost the end. And they were saying how they just, they wish for peace and they wish for love. It was beautiful. Anyway, and then 1001. And then that's where they were talking about the breath within the breath. Because when you do, like, you're breathing, you're just doing that everyday breathing. But when you're doing that concentrated breathing, that's when it brings out that milk and honey, which can connect all those chakras that they've been talking about. And that's why they wanted me to show, they wanted this to hang so that you could see all the, like how the chakras, because my, like, see, well, I mean, this isn't yellow or orange. They kind of, I don't know. But anyway, that's basically the colors, sort of. Anyway, they wanted me to hang that so that that could be seen. So I guess that's it, Spirit. You want to just, yeah. And you know what's weird? As soon as I set them up and I'm like, oh, what time is this? It went 12:25 on the clock. And I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean because it's December 25th and that's when we celebrate the day that Jesus was born? And then when I was getting ready to finally press play, it was 1, 2, 3 on the clock. I'm like, oh, Spirit, what is going on? That is so funny. Okay, so I think I'm done with that. Wow. They do want me to read that family one because they said it's really important. Spirit guide. Yeah, they're here. Okay. What card do you want me to pull out here, Spirit? Yeah, the energy's been a lot lighter too for these readings, which has been nice because, boy, in that beginning it was really like, whoa, what's going on? But though I've been having extreme dizzy spells. Commitment. Look, and they're doves. Tying the knot. Look at that. See that? I don't know, can you see that? You know, when they were talking about that marriage thing too yesterday in that other reading. Fertility, birthing something new. Look, and then new beginnings, and that's a doorway. What is that? I think that's a waterfall. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's it. Like that, psychic abilities, closure, dreams. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier before I brought this out. We were talking about how getting rid of those generational curses, leaving that stuff behind. Yeah, you know what? You know what I heard before? I don't know how true it is, but the dream one, and the friendship's back on the bottom. Excuse me, something just fell. I gotta go check.